Yes, everyone, welcome back to the channel. Stephen Howson. Today we're talking Jadon Sancho. And is it the end for him and Manchester United? We've also got some news about some other players, so stick around and we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Do us a favour though, like the video, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. So, Jadon Sancho, Manchester United and England winger, has rejoined Borussia Dortmund on loan for the rest of the 23-24 season. Shouldn't be news to you by now, I imagine. We signed him for £73 million 2.5 years ago amidst so much excitement, justified excitement, I think it's fair to say as well. Let's not rewrite history. The guy did an absolute madness at Dortmund that we saw in individual games, but we never really saw it for any sort of a sustained period in a Manchester United shirt. He's not played for United since the 26th of August after falling out with Ten Hag, and has been away from first team training since September. The loan contract has zero obligation from Dortmund's side to buy him. And Sancho's comments aren't great, I'm going to be honest with you. They don't align with the comments that he made, talking about he would do everything he can to fight for the club and the badge, and what he thought about Manchester United. That's just hasn't really materialised. He says, "When I came into the dressing room today, it felt like coming home. I know the club inside and out. I've always been very close to the fans here, and I've never lost contact with those in charge. Can't wait to see my teammates again, go out on the pitch, play football with a smile on my face, prepare goals, score goals, and help qualify for the Champions League." He's already in Germany. He completed his medical on Wednesday and is expected to join the club's mid-season training camp in Marbella. Dortmund are going to pay around $3 million up front, with some add-ons which are subject to appearances and Champions League progression and qualification. The deal does supposedly cover the majority of Sancho's wages, and if the bonuses are paid in full, it would be more than 100% of his salary towards the end of the season. So I guess that's a bit of a silver lining for us, but we did pay $73 million for him 2.5 years ago. He had like 114 goal and assist contributions in 137 games or something like that for Dortmund. He was incredibly successful for them, especially when he moved there as a teenager. You've got to take that into account. It was absolutely ridiculous what he achieved at Dortmund. But the high-profile move and maybe even the high-profile fee to United hasn't been anything like returned. His relationship with Ten Hag seemed to go a little bit west once he was omitted from the squad. I mean, things happened over a year ago, but it seemed to just completely deteriorate after his omission from the squad against Arsenal. And when asked about it, the manager said it was something to do with his performances in training. And Sancho clapped back on social media. Clearly, at no point has either of them decided that it'd be a good idea to reconcile and fix this. But it is what it is. Sancho's... Well, let's see what Dortmund director Sebastian Kehl has said this. Jadon's an absolute different player. I'm looking forward to seeing him back in black and yellow. And they're currently fifth in the league and resume their campaign on the 13th of January. So, not too far away. In my opinion, I think it's the last time we see Sancho in a United shirt. I think there's a lot of people presuming or wondering or speculating that if Ten Hag was to go, there might be a route back for him. I don't think that's on the table. Unless we just lose every game between now and the end of the season, which I guess there is a minuscule possibility that happens. If that happens, then I would expect Ten Hag to lose his job. If it's just like a pretty mediocre finish, 4th, 5th, 6th, there's no chance they're going to sack him, I don't think. So that being the case, he clearly doesn't want to apologise. Ten Hag's clearly not going to bring him back into the squad until he does. There is zero resolution to that. It's a massive kick in the bollocks for United in terms of how much we've spent and what it's cost us and all the rest of it. But it looks like that's the decision that's been made. So we're going to have to just live with it. See what you guys are saying in the comments. Jordan says, okay, covers his salary, but a player's value is based on how long's left on his contract, and we're losing 6 months of value. Been shafted, but another example of the business we do. Yes. Adam says, Bundesliga is not the Premiership. I mean, okay, what does that mean? I mean, it's a very obvious statement. But yeah, you're talking about in terms of what he achieved at Dortmund. Okay, it's not, but he also was producing that form in the Champions League as well. You know, and I'll be honest with you, fucking Erling Haaland's making it look a little bit like the Bundesliga at times. Jordan says, after seeing him kiss the badge today, he's done for me. Witterbird says, I like that Ten Hag tried and then had to be ruthless. I wonder if the leaks will die down. Possible. Ben says, the way he's out there giving it the big one is making me strongly dislike him. I don't think you're going to be on your own with that one. Is Sancho the new Di Maria? I don't think so, but it could easily go down now. Talk says, Lukaku signing was the worst ever. Wages, but Ibra was cut out of the time dues paid. Ibra was born to be United. Cantona 2.0, goes to the USA, back to Milan, they win a title. Here's the thing. With his age, playing the Premier League week in, week out, it wasn't going to happen. He needed to go somewhere that he could be relied upon to play week in, week out. And I agree. I think Ibra was fantastic. If we'd have signed him at 27, we would have got 10 years out of him. We would have done. I think he was definitely a Fergie era player in the wrong era. It's one of those. Carl says, I used to live on West Drive, and so did Sir Alex security guard Vinny. He used to give us programs and scarf as a kid. Did I ever meet him? Vinny, and there was a guy called Eze as well. My dad knew both of those guys, yeah. If I'm right, Vinny used to have like an American Marine style, like high top fade. Did he not? Or did I imagine that? Bit of a, if I say looks like a bouncer, I mean, he's my sort of build, isn't he? Probably broader than me, actually, but, you know, similar sort of build as that. Ahmed says, a lot of people have been saying our new signings are not performing well because of our full starting 11 not fit. Meanwhile, 18-year-old Mainu comes in and outperforms everyone. Yeah, Mainu's performances definitely show a lot of people up, don't they? And that's the annoying thing, is that you can see people coming in and performing. And yeah, you're not going to get the best results out of the team with half of the team missing. City can't do that. Liverpool can't do that. Arsenal can't do that. No team can do that. You know, even United fell off the very top. You know, we lost Cantona at the back end of the 95 season and didn't win the league. We lost Cantona because he retired, and Roy Keane to the cruciate injury in 98 and allowed Arsenal to do the double. Like, you know, it's possible that those things can stop you. I mean, we're talking about winning the league here. We're a mile off that. So, you know, players not being available really fucking matters. Bob says, evening Steve, it seems Jean-Claude isn't coming as CEO. Would I take Purslow, knows football, steady pair of hands, and he's not Woodward? I don't know who Purslow is. I saw all the stuff about Jean-Claude. I find it very strange that he wouldn't be coming in as CEO when all of the talk has been about him coming in as CEO, and then he's pictured at the game. Make that make sense. I don't know if this is just like misinformation, disinformation coming out from people to sort of throw everybody off the scent. And I also saw someone saying, oh, you all thought the Glazers was going to give all of the control over, but they still get to vote on who's the CEO. Right, they've given up football control. Can't believe I'm able to explain this. They've given up football control. The CEO is not necessarily the football control. Of course, there has to be a vote from the board members on who the CEO is. That's obvious. Of course, that's obvious. No one expected it to go any other way, but I really thought there's a good chance there's going to be Jean-Claude Blanc there. So until that's completely categorically ruled out, then I think we'll just wait and see what the script is with it. Because I would expect in the midst of all of this, like, there's going to be all sorts of chaos. And misinformation and rumour and disinformation and the truth as well. So, you know, it could be possible that he isn't coming as CEO, but it also could be possible that it's just not happening. GB12 said, you mentioned local knowledge on Sancho and how he was at United. Do I think this will come to light now he has moved on? Don't know. I don't know. It's one. I don't know because I can't even speculate without giving it up. So I'll just say I don't know. Amaya says, what about Maldini? We get a CEO and more injuries. We stick him in there with Evans. Jack says, thoughts on the Jonathan David rumours? Think it would be a good signing. I can't see it because of the costs. So I can't get, like, I'm doing a loan video tomorrow because that's what I think we're likely to be bringing in. I can't sit here and be like, yeah, United should probably spend 60 million on someone because, I don't think we're going to spend that. Brendan O'Sullivan there says, can I see any big transfers happening? No. Don't know. Dragu says, left active service a year ago, considering going back to the reserves because of you. Cheers. That felt like a dig. Why? Elaborate, please, Dragu, because I don't understand why. I haven't done fuck all that I think would make anyone go in. Michael Holt says, any word on Mitchell? Love the channel for ages. Also watch something else. Any word on Mitchell? So, put it this way, I'm keeping my contact and powder dry on that until he's embedded, and then I will be hopefully taking a chance on something. Let's just say that. Let's just chill. Know what I mean? Raymond says, let the academy cook, if you ask me. I think they're coming in and showing that they can do okay, aren't they? Jace Parker says, evening, Steve. Great to see you, our kid. Good evening, Jace Parker. Stephen says, do I think Sancho will do the business at Dortmund just to spite us? Yep, I do. I definitely do. I think it's definitely an easier league to play in. That doesn't mean that the players over there are of lesser quality or whatever. I just think I think the nature of the way some of the tactics are set up sometimes is fucking mental. Like, I saw a goal the other day where someone was played through and they were 20 yards behind the defence but still in their own half. Insane. Okay, Marigold says, which youth player do I think is the next to come through at United? Shea Lacey or Jack Fletcher, but they're both small, so might need a bit more than that. James says, how many times do I get confused with the Stephen Howson player that played for Salford? It's happened maybe once, I think. When he was still playing, he spelt the same as well. So, while he was still playing, and here's the weird thing, I used to play for Salford too, obviously not the football team, but so yeah, there was some confusions a while ago, especially when that documentary was on, because that was when it was kind of happening a bit, wasn't it? But yeah, not much. I know him as well, actually. I do know him as well. He probably gets confused. He probably gets confused with me more than I get confused with him, I think. What do I think is the easiest league to convert to the Premier League? I think the French league's got a pretty good conversion rate, but the best one seems to be La Liga. La Liga seems to translate really well to the Premier League. Gavin says, hoping Jack Fletcher gets a growth spurt like his dad because he looks the business. He really does, doesn't he? He really, really does. Just No says, is Avram on the Epstein list? Please say yes. So I've seen all sorts about the Epstein list. And I'm sure there was some fuckery afoot with some of them. But there's that many. Like, they can't have all been fucking diddling kids that went out there, surely. Surely not. Surely some people literally went and fucking played golf or something. Lou says United are going to lose Marshall, Sancho and Greenwood for peanuts. Likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea sell their third choice goalkeeper for 20 million. Innit? This is where we are crying out for some fucking football people who actually know what's going on. Shree says Blanc was CEO of Tour de France when he was at his dirtiest. Brailsford was called in front of Parliament for unethical practices. Not a fan of them joining the club. Thoughts, Steve? Was it while he was at his dirtiest? Like, I don't know too much about cycling, but from watching the documentary Icarus, it seems like it might not have been fucking even healthy to attempt the Tour de France unless you're absolutely juiced off your tits. So by the sounds of it, they've always been Jews. And by the sounds of it, it was even worse, like in Lance Armstrong's days, when people were like getting up at 3 a.m. to go and do a fucking, 30, 40K ride while they're competing just to keep their fucking heart going because their blood was getting so fucking thick. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just think about that. And that's the thing is, at its dirtiest, like when Lance Armstrong got popped, didn't they have to go all the way into like the 12th, 13th man to find someone who hadn't ever pissed hot? Like, he was the best rider that was dirty in a dirty race. One of them, man, isn't it? Ryan says, I don't think Ten Hag should be allowed to make any more permanent transfers for now, only loans this January. Well, that's probably just a complete fucking misunderstanding of what's going on with the shit show at the club, doesn't it? Notch says, doping gets exposed in most sports, seemingly except football. This is the one. This is the thing that I always say is that we know, this is factual. I can sit here and know it and say it and not get sued. We know the FA covers up false drug tests. We know that. It's already been outed that players are... now, the FA do it under the guise of supposedly attempting to rehabilitate people, but they can't come out and say that they have a zero tolerance on drugs because they absolutely have a fucking tolerance on drugs because they're covering people up when they're doing fucking drugs. So I find it baffling, to be honest. Like, they go on about, they find Wayne Rooney because he swore at a camera and they say you have to set a better example for kids. Okay, well, shall we ban the people who are doing fucking drugs? Shall we? How about that? How about set a good example that way? 20 Legend says that's a stupid approach. Ryan, don't know what he's referencing. Connor says Mainoo reminds me of Seedorf, the way he moves and how comfortable he is on the ball. 20 Legend says if you're not going to fully back your manager 100% of the time, sack him, then it's that easy. Roll with that. Jordan says, what's for tea tonight, Steve? Probably something really fucking dull like chicken and rice. I'm in full chicken and rice mode at the moment, and there's one of them in it. Would I take Benzema on loan? Fuck yeah. Would it be a good idea? Fuck no. Would I do it anyway? Yeah. Brian says, odds on CR7 being the most tested athlete, probably quite high. IMJ says, would you make a video about Isaac Hansen? Given his situation, is he good enough for United? Big clubs seem to be interested. That's the interesting one, is big clubs do seem to be interested, and maybe that's... see, that could be agent fueling that. That could be the agent fueling that. And here, Ruda says, why do United Academy players look different to the others? Different how? Michael says, on a percentage basis, how much hope, we've been lacking that, does the partial takeover give you? It gives me some. It gives me some, especially seeing that it's the football side that's going to change up a little bit, or certainly on the face of things, it's going to change up a little bit. It could go west, but, I've always said this, I would rather live in hope and be wrong than be pessimistic and right. Do I think Dan Gore will make it? Too early to say. James says, Pogba was tested a lot, seemingly, ironically. There was the video of him being told he's got a test, and he replied again. Yeah. Jack says, Pep's on gear, haha, since when? You need to do some Googling, mate. So all I'm going to say is this, right? And I tweeted this a long time ago. It's had millions of impressions. And it keeps getting shared by people randomly all the time. If you search Pep Guardiola drug test, I think my tweet is the first thing that comes up, Here's what happened, factually. Pep Guardiola failed a drug test while he was playing in Italy for traces of nandrolone in his piss. And then several years later, the Italian Federation or VADA or whoever it was that conducted the test, I can't remember who, changed how they store the tests that have been done. Now, there is the ability for tests, urine tests, to give a false reading of between, I think it was like 0.1 and 0.01 and 0.1 of a false negative or a false positive, due to the instability of whatever it is that they're stored with. But Pep was above what the threshold for like a false positive was. But because you couldn't perform the correct stability testing on his piss, his conviction got overturned on the technicality of that you couldn't perform a stability test. Now, the president or chairman of VADA at the time, World Anti-Doping Association, when asked about what's the possibility that both of Pep's tests, were false positives, he said something along the lines of 10 billion to 1 chance. So Pep's had his conviction overturned on a technicality. Now, what Pep did, or his defense when he did this, was to say, I've only ever taken what my doctor gave me, which is a mad thing to say, right? When someone goes, hey, are you doing drugs? I go, yeah, loads of them. Do you want some? Or I go, no, I don't do drugs and don't believe in it. When you say, are you doing drugs? And you go, I only take what the doctor gives me. That's not lying, because you've just not answered the question. You've answered a different fucking question. So the people that did the investigations into Lance Armstrong, that was one of the things that they used to build their case, was like, when Lance Armstrong was asked about taking drugs, he went, Lance, are you taking drugs? And he went, I've never failed a test in my life, and I've been tested more than anybody else. Yeah, we didn't ask you if you've ever failed a test, Lance. We said, are you pissing bright green, you fucking lunatic? And the answer would have been, yeah, man, it's melting beakers. So when people don't directly answer that question, there's guilt to be hidden. Anyway, Pep Guardiola didn't directly answer the question. He says, I've only ever taken what my doctor said, or what my doctor told me to take, right? Now, if you'd have only ever taken what a doctor told you to take, when you then retire and become a manager, would you hire the doctor that got you fucking done for cheating? I'm going to say you wouldn't. But that's me. Super chat there from Dre says, can I do videos breaking down different tactics, philosophy, and formation strengths and weaknesses? Maybe. Zappelcore says, has Rio ever spoken to you about his drug test ban? Yeah, me and Rio talk about this quite frequently. We've spoken about this quite in depth a fucking good couple of years ago, actually. Might have been during the Euros. Now, Rio goes, I haven't even taken anything, and you can test my hair sample, which is above and beyond what was required to do for the piss test that he missed. He fucking went shopping in town rather than doing his piss test. But because you leave the venue, you're getting banned. He went and took the test and passed the test the very next morning when they came back to Carrington. But because he missed that test, they banned him. He actually got, I think Colo Touré took some sort of diet medication, which was on a banned list, and got less of a ban than Rio did for just missing a test. Like, actually pissed hot and got less in trouble than Rio did for just missing ones. So yeah, we spoke about it, and he said, look, he tried to do a lie detector, he tried to give his hair, he tried to do everything to exonerate him, and still got absolutely fucking smacked about. I think he got the fine reduced on an appeal, but they didn't touch his ban. So 8 months he did for missing it. Nick says, I'd happily watch sports where athletes are drugged up. If some nutter wants to pump stuff into their system and run the 100 meters in 3 seconds, crack on. I know what you mean, and the reality is that's probably happening anyway, but I think you still have to at least try and give the impression that you are asked about trying to make it a fairly level playing field, because you don't want to encourage people to fucking take all sorts. You can still win. You can still win in virtually every sport. There's probably some that you can't, but you can probably win in virtually every sport clean. Adam says TRT UFC was lit. Yeah, so the steroid era of the UFC, which is when they did drug tests the same way that football does right now. So make your own mind up about that. What also happened during the steroid era was that there was TUEs, therapeutic use exemptions, which meant everybody was on testosterone, out of their fucking hoops, everybody, and it was sensational. But then the new way of testing came in, and he went, "Yep, you're not allowed TUEs." Amaya says, "Was Bolt on gear?" Well, Bolt has never tested positive. There's never been any suspicion that I'm aware of that Bolt was on anything. He genuinely might just be a genetic freak. If you look at all of the people who've ran like sub 10, so many of them have popped, but Bolt never has. And I don't believe all of the people that go, he's too big to fail, like they would always cover up a drug test and stuff like that for him. I don't think so. The guy's 6'5" or 7, 6'7" or 6'5", one of the two. And most sprinters are 5'10", because there's 3 components to sprinting. One is power, one is stride length, and one is turnover. So all of those things have to be maxed out. Now, Usain Bolt's turnover speed is not that great, which is why he always starts a little bit behind everybody else. Everyone else can like get their legs going quicker, but because his legs are longer, as soon as he hits that sort of like end of the first third of the race, his stride just fucking obliterates everybody else. So he might have just been like the perfect fucking genetic thing. Nathan says, what rugby league team do I support? Salford. Should have their own league, the drug league. I'm sure there's someone fucking try to get that one going. Ed says, patiently waiting to see when steroids get into the darts. Ryan says, do I think BJJ has made other forms of martial arts redundant, such as Tai Chi, karate, etc.? Well, is Tai Chi even a martial art? I thought it was like a yoga thing. I could be completely fucking wrong on that. Karate did kind of get exposed, but I don't know if it was just purely BJJ or if it was like the advent of the UFC kind of really did that. Yeah. I think the UFC it just fucking completely shut up all of those bullshit martial arts, didn't it? Because you know what works. You have to have a little bit of freestyle wrestling and grappling. You know, BJJ is helpful, non-essential, but very, very helpful. And if you're elite, certainly in the early days, you were just fucking choking dudes out like a motherfucker. No, you have to be able to stand and bang a little bit. Doesn't mean you need like world-class, Muay Thai or anything like that. But you do need to be able to throw hands a little bit, and boxing helps, but again, not really essential because proper traditional Western boxing uses a lot of defenses due to the size of the gloves that hands just get flung straight through it. I wish Dana White had stopped fucking about with his slap FC thing though, because all of the things that was leveled at MMA that were false, like it's human cockfighting and it's just fucking dumb and this, that, and the other. That's what that fucking slap league is. It's ridiculous, and people are getting hurt for no fucking reason. Ridiculous. At what level of the football pyramid do they have drug testing? Don't know, actually. Anyways, I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to go get my fucking chicken and rice, but take it easy, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your evenings. Make sure to subscribe. If you haven't already, go check out my IRL channel. There's stuff being filmed for that like every couple of days. So you will see how it goes in the very, very near future. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.